My guest for the morning, Richard Nyama, is with the MPP, and thanks for joining me, Richard. He's been very busy in the court lately, suing the Republic. Not the Republic?
I'm done with the Republic.
All right. And Dr. Jinapo. And Dr. Jinapo is also a lecturer. And thanks for joining me, sir.
Thank you, sir.
All right. Now, basically, let's start with the issue about this young lady, Jijo Mensah, she's called, and Joyce, apparently was an HIV/AIDS ambassador with the Ghana AIDS Commission, and just decided to say she's no more infected with HIV. We've had the husband come in to refute that and say she is, and may have taken her action because of perceived discrimination and stigmatization that her children seem to be suffering. I have to start with you, Richard.
Wow, this issue, when I read it yesterday, it confused me. And let me say good morning anyway to your viewers. It's created a credibility problem for her. Whatever she wanted to avert, she's rather compounded, seriously. Because if the kids were in the limelight or suffering any issue, probably it would have been in their classroom with one or two of their mates constantly pestering them and then bullying them. And that could have been dealt with, contacting the teachers and the headmaster or whoever to deal with that immediately and locally. Now, you've come out, and you see, when I read the details from the Ghana AIDS Commission about how somebody is selected to be an ambassador, it's the number one criteria is that you would have to be HIV positive.
So you have to be tested?
Yes, you go through all that.
So you're wondering whether they tested
then you go through counseling. You would go through the whole process. They have documentations to prove all that, okay? And then there are certain restrictions. It looks like you cannot, whilst an ambassador, use that position to do anything gainfully for yourself and all that. And she seems to have evaluated that. And at a point, they cut that off. The reason why she did what she did, for me, if she had counseling, and I think probably she's going through some psychological trauma and difficulties. And in these times, I would rather suggest that we keep an eye on her, a watchful eye on her. I heard the Ghana AIDS Commission. They're looking at giving her some psychological help and then professional aid in that direction. So they're going to call her in. Because, look, she mentioned, and that is where I got a bit alarmed, that why she now has to come and indicate she wasn't HIV positive is because apart from what is done to her family and the kids in particular, the likelihood is that if she didn't, she could actually have committed suicide and blah, 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 blah. And I think we should put her on that watch, the suicide watch, because psychologically, for her to continue or begin to deny that she has it, and now you're telling me the husband is contradicting her, means, yes, means she's going through something internally, and instead of compounding the problem, we should rather give her assistance. I've heard of suing and all those things. It's not necessary. The lady needs help. Let the professionals call her in and counsel her and take her out of that state of mind. But the kids, whichever, I think it shouldn't just be her, but the family should also be brought in, the husband and the kids, and probably look at the possibility of changing the institution or the school that they attend currently, because the likelihood is that if we continue, or if they continue being in the school that they are, they could still continue to go through what they're going through. If not, the school should also be brought in. The parents or the mother having HIV does not, and in this case, it's proving the kids don't. It's lack of education, and so there may be need for some further counseling. But I think the lady needs help. Let's stop bashing her.
Your observations.
Well, let me say good morning to your cherished viewers.
It's been a while.
Yes.
When we call you, don't respond. or that's good excuse for me.
That's not the case.
Okay.
It's just that I've been quite busy with work and stuff. But let me look at the Daily Graphic, if you don't mind. On the front page of the Daily Graphic, it says that Joyce Mensah was an imposter.
Imposter. That's wrong.
That's what the Daily Graphic is saying.
So we're already not helping the matters?
I'm getting there. I listened to a lawyer, a private legal practitioner, who is saying that this lady should be prosecuted for criminal offense or whatever it is. Look, yesterday I happened to have watched this news on a different TV network. And to be honest with you, I've never heard of this lady. I don't know her.
Yeah.
I've never heard of her before. I didn't even know that we had anybody called Ghana AIDS ambassador. I didn't know. And forgive me for my ignorance. But you see, the point is this. There are a number of issues relating to this story. I think number one, as a country and as a people, we are too harsh. What is the background of this lady? What is her educational background? What is her age? I mean, what is her experience? You know, the Ghana AIDS Commission factor all this into play when they were recruiting her. I mean, Richard talked about how simplistic the requirements are. You need to be HIV positive. You need to have certain requirements and stuff like that. My argument is that at this particular point in time of today, was this lady still the Ghana AIDS ambassador?
Not prior to the event, no.
No, probably not. You know, and this lady is coming out based on what the ex-husband said, that she is renouncing her position as being HIV positive, which is impossible. If you are HIV positive, you're HIV positive. You can't renounce it. She's renouncing that because, one, of the stigma that her children goes through. And when we say stigma, what it means is that, notwithstanding all the publicity and the ambassadorial job that is done by this lady, it still looks as if that in this country, and the evidence is clear, that we still stigmatize people with HIV/AIDS.
And especially if you look at the outpour of the negativity.
That is what I was going to.
Because she's HIV positive, now she's not.
No, she's not.
And all of a sudden, hell has broken loose.
Look, I'm telling you this, Roland, based on personal experience. You don't have a tribal mark.
Yes.
I have a mark.
Yes.
We grew up in Asante Mampong. And Asante Mampong is predominantly, Akan, Chi. And interestingly, my dad was a policeman. And when we were in school, we were called Tenny. When they say Tenny, means you're a Nordner. Two, my dad was a policeman and we were called Kotiba. Koti. You know what Koti means? And you know, I'm giving you a personal experience. When I was in class, anytime that something was said about the police, I felt very uncomfortable. Very, very uncomfortable.
Because of against stigmatization?
The stigmatization.
It was negative.
It was negative. And we are talking of what? HIV/AIDS. HIV/AIDS. HIV/AIDS simply means that the mother or the parents will die, and subconsciously, we believe that people who get HIV/AIDS are people of what? Low moral standard. Which is not the case. So I think this issue provides us an opportunity for us, first of all, to look at one, what is the mechanism as a people that we use in recruitment? Not just when it comes to HIV/AIDS, but when it comes to recruitment of a journalist like you to work in this position. When it comes to recruitment of people to occupy political positions. We need to look at it seriously. You understand? Secondly, I strongly believe that as a people, we haven't done a good job when it comes to this whole issue of what? HIV/AIDS and stigmatization in general.
You mean we still have a long way to go?
We have a long, and the evidence is clear, my brother. The evidence is clear. It's everywhere. The Daily Graphic is saying that this lady is an imposter. What does it mean to be an imposter?
And the Daily Graphic is the leading daily circulated newspaper.
In all the papers. When we say somebody is an imposter, the person is coming to say that he is this when the person is not. Meanwhile, the Ghana AIDS Commission, the body which has all the requirements and ingredients and accoutrements to assess and check if this lady is HIV positive or not, is saying on authority. And that is even reaffirmed by the husband.
And they are even saying that maybe she's going through something.
So why do we have to bastardize and, put this girl? I don't think this lady is up to 40 years old. And when I put myself in her situation, I said, look, this is an unfortunate chap who happens to find herself, what was she even doing? She was sacrificing herself for the country.
Yes.
Ambassador.
By educating.
By educating people. And look at the way we are paying her back. I think we need to take a step back and reflect on our actions. And at least, look, we should come out with some means and procedures of counseling. And I think as a people, look, today we are talking of Ebola. Ebola.
Which is even more
The other day I was having a chat with a colleague. I said, but what happened to HIV is, it looks like it's gone on. No. So I don't know. That's my position on this issue.
But what steps do you think now we need to take as a media? What should be the posture? And also the Ghana AIDS Commission, which is the leading state agency that is supposed to be at the forefront of fighting the subject of HIV and reducing stigma and infections, etc. What should be the posture of all these organizations? Because the media is a leading stakeholder in whatever agenda is set in the public discourse.
Yes, I think the ladies provided us a very good opportunity to take a look at ourselves in the mirror, look at the fight against HIV/AIDS and whether we are doing something right or wrong. And so for me, in this particular unfortunate incident, there's opportunity for us to reorient and re-educate ourselves on the whole subject of HIV/AIDS. And so it also calls into question, like my brother Jinapo said, the recruitment process. Probably the counseling process wasn't thorough and detailed enough. Maybe they needed to have not had 1 or 2 or 3 of counseling sessions to then make them ambassadors. You probably would have looked at maybe 3 times in a year, or after every other program that you go through, bring the person back, assess the person, evaluate the person's mental state, and then prepare him again for another one. She's been with them, I think, since 2007 till 2011, when they called it quits with her. It's possible she feels let down. She's out there cut and dry. She probably was getting paid from the Ghana AIDS Commission. She's done it halfway at a point. She's not getting the income and all the attention that came with it. And the stigmatization is rather probably on the increase. So let me come out there and clean myself. What the Ghana AIDS Commission can do, like earlier indicated, call her, do some serious counseling. But then we should also re-examine the educative or educational process on the HIV topic. And you see, the aspect of fear, I think we have stopped. Initially, when the whole thing started, there was a rigorous process of education on HIV. Because we are now at some point 1% of the cases, infection rate, we think that we are home and dry and so we're cool. But we should drive it further. And I think that a vigorous educational campaign where we still have people going through treatment, but then you show like people who have come for treatment, you may not need to show their faces and all that, but then on a daily basis they are coming for antiretroviral drugs, they are going through ABCD processes. It would begin to educate people that, okay, even if I have it, I should go through, because unfortunately the antiretroviral therapy is so small. The number of people, the penetration is so small. I think the last time I checked was around 25–30%. So what happens to the 70% who don't have access? We should be looking at all these areas and address them. But the educational campaign, I think we need to reprogram it and restructure it to be more effective.
Now, Doc, at the forefront of the whole educational process of making the interventions, which of course is spearheaded by the AIDS Commission, are these ambassadors. How do you think now the other ambassadors can also rationalize with the current situation? Because they are also infected, and they have brought themselves to be as sacrificial lambs and make sure they also complement in the educational intervention?
I think naturally they are going to be a little bit uncomfortable, especially looking at what is going on with this lady. And Richard raises an important point that look, the agreement or the contract between this lady and the Ghana AIDS Commission got terminated somewhere in 2011. What is the Ghana AIDS Commission's package when it comes to severance in terms of if somebody is leaving? What are you giving in terms of remuneration? Because first of all, this individual...
Actually, it's not a paid job.
It's not a paid job, but
you get some stipend.
You get a stipend, but at the end of the day, whether you like it or not, in as much as that person has come into the public domain, that stigmatization which exists within
There's
our
some
culture,
element of risk.
that is it. Will the person be able to get a job at a place like this? Probably not.
Why?
No, I said that's why I said probably what? Not. You understand? Probably not. That is why the Ghana AIDS Commission should have a package, a severance package for people like her. When they are leaving, at least they'll be taken care of in the right way. But you see, when we talk of education, education is not just about conscientizing people about the existence of something. There should be what? A total behavioral change. And my question is, has this happened? Is the Ghana AIDS Commission conscious of that, and is that their objective? If you are employing somebody to be an ambassador, to be an agent of what? A behavioral change or an attitudinal change on the part of the public, and this person happens to find herself in such a blunder, and the Ghana AIDS Commission comes out, and their modus operandi is to more or less defend themselves that, look, we do not fault in the recruitment of this lady, but to more or less say that, look, this person is one of us. She might have faulted by coming to deny this, but we are looking at how we can we can mitigate the whole problem and solve it. But if you listen to the posture and demeanor of Ghana AIDS Commission, what they're saying is that, look, this is a bad girl. She had AIDS. She had been coming for retroviral treatment since 2000 and whatever, and what she's saying is lies. I don't think that's the way to go. I strongly believe that, look, this provides us an opportunity, and it shouldn't be just with what do they call it, HIV/AIDS, even with cholera. People were scared to go to the hospital because when they go to the hospital and claim they have cholera, they'll be deemed as what?
Or even go and come back to their communities.
That's it.
You are the one
That
who
is
got
it.
cholera.
That is it.
I get it. And personally, I was also feeling, because I had a friend, he works with one of the banks, and happened to have had cholera. And I asked him, how come you got cholera? And he said, well, he was improvising for the month because he had used his monies for some other activity. So he was just trying to manage for the month. So he was not eating at the right places. And now he got cholera. Come and see his colleagues. And you know he comes to work, wears this nice tie, nice jacket, drives a nice car. So was eating at a corner.
So you see,
but it was not his fault.
That is
he's just a victim of circumstances.
So in effect, Roland, it looks as if as a people we live an artificial life, and I think I need to stress this issue. I don't want that to be like as if I'm pardoning or giving the lady the benefit of that.
No, but I think that we also need to give her that psychological comfort on which she can
when my kids, when any of them say they are not going to school for a day, and I ask, what is wrong? Are you sick? I mean, what is it? I get worried. Because at the end of the day, I listen, Richard, the child spends most of his or her time in school. So if the environment, which is supposed to be a platform for her to change positively, and she doesn't feel comfortable going to that environment, which in Joyce's or Joyce's case, the colleagues of her children are not happy with her because of this stigma, then I think one way or the other she is justified to come out for the sake of her children to say that, look, I'm not HIV.
Roland, I need to chip in this.
We need to end this one because there are issues also with it.
Yes, but there's this issue. You see, she indicates, the Ghana AIDS Commission indicates that as part of the contract, you're not supposed to use that ambassadorial role to do some profit making. Yes. And she's supposed to have been in music. She's a musician. And as a result of that, and so she's supposed to have been benefiting as a result from that. And it's one of the reasons why her contract was terminated. So how do you expect her to survive? See, so you've taken her daily bread. You've exposed her. You've taken her daily bread out of her. I don't think it's even normal for me to be an ambassador, and as a result of that, I cannot do any other way. You are demonizing
So as a
me.
result of, we need to have perhaps a shift in mindset in the way or the strategy by which we tend
But then the issue of stigmatization, he mentioned about your daughter or your children not going to school on a day. Look, a couple of days ago, today's, I think that was on Thursday, my daughter was like, Daddy, I'm not going to go to school again. And I asked her why. He said, oh, unless you change your name. Yes. So I don't want, she doesn't want the Nyama. She doesn't want it because
they are causing confusion.
No. They tease her at school, Nyama, and it's a, and then I think one of the teachers erroneously told her it's a Muslim name, it's a Northern name, and I'm like, yes, your dad is a Northerner. Nyama, yes. When I was also growing up, they used to tease me. But your name is a popular name, so be proud of it. Okay? So let's go to school. And when you go to school and your colleagues teach you, tell them how many of their dads, or do you see your dad on TV? Also tease them. And she got the confidence and went back. But the stigmatization thing is real. For where you come from. And so if you're not able to deal with this, and these kids at this age, if you do not have that background to be able to assuage that hurt feeling, they will go and sit in the class, but they are damned and damaged inside.
Get your point.